Hey, so today we're doing something a little bit different. I thought we'd do another one of our great outdoor shoots, and today we're looking at the sizing of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X in relation to other console platforms that I have and that I've had over the years. So hopefully everything turns out great, and we kind of give you a good representation of what the actual sizing is going to be like. I used a number of sources, which I'll talk about throughout this video, in order to go over things. So for example sizes, we do have the Xbox 360, which I now consider to be a fairly large console. We also have our two cardboard cutouts, which we'll talk about in a sec. The base PlayStation 4, so this is the regular PlayStation 4, and then we also have the Xbox One X, which is my primary console. So we're getting a good, combination and comparison that we can make between the different consoles that have released. So first off, here is the representation of the Xbox Series X. So we've obviously got the full dimensions. This is 15.1 by 15.1 by 30.1 centimeters. It's going to weigh about 10 pounds. So this is the Xbox Series X size, so you get an idea of it. So with those dimensions, we're getting length, width, and height. So that's kind of what we used. So this is supposed to be fairly accurate because this is from Digital Foundry when they actually had hands-on with the Xbox Series X. I don't think there's too many people that have actually had a hands-on experience using the console yet, so this should be accurate almost exactly to what it is, or I would assume it would be accurate. So we'll put that right here. Now, this is the PlayStation 5, and it is going to be one of the biggest consoles I've seen. Now, I grabbed a wide range comparison. I didn't think that the Switch was necessary, and I don't think that the Xbox One was necessary because we're totally past whatever that is. But I had a PlayStation console, so I wanted to kind of give you an idea of just kind of the reverse of where certain technologies have gone over time, and I hope that this is a decent enough comparison, an accurate one. So these measurements, according to a Reddit scale plus some of the metrics done from a number of sources, this seems to be the most accurate measurement of what we're getting here. So with that, we're getting 22.3 by 8.89 by 38.1 centimeters. Again, length, width, and height. So that's what we're getting here. So you're noticing it's rounded, but I didn't do a full box. I wanted to just give an idea so that we could wrap this around things so you actually get a full sense of scale for what, these, consoles are actually doing. So we're going to move that back. So hopefully these are 100% in the frame so you get an idea of things. So first off, we're moving that to the side, the 360, which is a very, very big console. So yeah, here we go, just kind of getting this set up well. This is the inside here. So you're seeing, so this would kind of be like the flat. So I know that, with these sizes, there's kind of like the bendy edge. We did the best we could with the cardboard we had. So I hope this makes sense and this kind of shows it off well. This is horizontal. Both consoles can be laid horizontal. And this is like a vertical placement. So you're seeing that difference where the PlayStation 5 kind of like really does tower over like any of the other consoles that are out there. It is a big, huge machine. And it barely looks like it's going to fit in my area. And keep in mind that you're going to need extra room too, because this thing is going to basically be giving off a lot of air, so it's really open so that it helps with the cooling, I'm assuming, but at the same time you're going to need a lot of space, and I think some of the edges are going to be a little bit breakable on the PlayStation 5 design, at least from what I'm guessing. So again, here's the Xbox Series X, just kind of giving you an idea of what it's going to be like when it's either horizontally placed or vertically, and then the PlayStation 5 by itself, which might actually be out of frame because it is fairly large. Now, it's not huge, like it's not massive. Well, I think it is in comparison to other consoles, but you get the point of what I'm saying in terms of scale and actually seeing what is hopefully a representation of it. Of course, this could change. These are numbers online from a number of sources in order to compare things, but you get the gist of what I'm going for in regards to making these comparisons, trying to get a rough idea of it. And I think around launch we'll do a follow-up. I'll keep these just to see how close we actually were on the design. Now keep in mind that the model is going to change a little bit based on the all-digital version. It does have like some bendy stuff in it, so you kind of get that idea, and you kind of have to make your, that visual comparison to the cardboard. I'm not a cardboard craftsman, so I can't do like weird fins and stuff on it. That's just not going to happen. So that's the design there. So now we're going to make the obvious comparison. We're going to go from PlayStation 5 to PlayStation 4. So here's the PlayStation 4 console. Hopefully again showing up. And then we can kind of wrap it around here so that you get an idea of things. It's just a little bit awkward, if you know what I mean. So we can actually fit the PlayStation 4 to a degree inside the PlayStation 5. You can see that there, just how it fits. So it's quite a bit taller, it's quite a bit longer, and that's if you're holding it down. I guess you kind of face it like this, so you get an idea, because this is what it would actually be kind of placed like. So we're getting something that is like, you know, it's not going to fit as far back, but it's going to take a lot more room in general. And we do have the volumetrics, which are kind of interesting too, so we'll kind of go over that. And I hope again that I'm kind of giving you an idea of the scale of things. So if we set it upwards, which I really don't think you do with the PS4, but you know, we'll do that perspective again too, just so you get a sense of the size of it. So you're seeing there, again, what the height and everything is handled. So that's interesting. So then we've got, you know, the Xbox One X. We're going to compare that to the Xbox Series X, which will be really interesting here. Alright, so we did a cut there just so that I could make sure that everything is filming correctly and we got good space, and we do. So this is the Xbox Series X size here, and we're going to be comparing it to the Xbox One X, which I thought was just an absolutely adorable small thing. The technology on this one, seriously impressive. So when we come to the size here, you can see that it does fit in nicely in regards to being on the inside of the Series X. But I think it's impressive, the fact that it is a smaller form factor. It is like kind of 3 Xbox One X's, well, 2.5 maybe, kind of eyeballing it. Well, I guess we could do exact measurements. We do have all that kind of done. But you get the gist of what I'm going for in regards to making this, you know, comparison size-wise. And because it's a cube, it kind of doesn't really matter how you place it. It is basically the exact same size. If we're looking here and we're comparing here, it's kind of an awkward way to do this, but it really is kind of the exact same, you know, in that regard. So I think that's really interesting. It's just a lot more of a thicker console. It's going to be a lot thicker than that. I guess we could set this down here, kind of show that off, how they fit into one another. So that's neat. I don't know, it's kind of a cool thing to do, something a little bit different, making these comparisons. So then we have the fun comparison where we are taking the Xbox Series X and we're going to compare it to the Xbox 360. So the 360 is actually, like, upon reflection, a very, very big console. It took up a lot of space. We're seeing that it's kind of the exact same height as the 360 is. I put that flat here, so hopefully that shows up there. If you were to take off the 360's hard drive at the top. So this is the Halo 3 edition. Thanks, Lurker. So yeah, that's kind of cool. But I guess it is kind of like 2 360s beside each other is kind of the size of, actually it is, and then you cut down this part. It's really amazing, the technology that they were able to, you know, compact it like that. We're going to compare the 360 to the PlayStation 5 too in a sec, but I wanted to give off some really neat facts first. So we do have some interesting details. These are from Alberta Penello. He worked at Xbox, Sega. I think he's at Amazon right now. So he had some interesting information in regards to the volumetrics. Again, rough numbers until we get the concrete stats on these things. So we're doing this in volumetrics of cubic inches, which is CI, and centimeters cubed, so that we can have both of the numbers for whatever part of the world that you're in. So the Xbox One X is 266 cubic inches, again, roughly, about 4,359 centimeters cubed. And that's about 15% smaller we're getting here. So the PS4 Pro is 312 cubic inches, and that is 5,113 centimeters cubed. And I need to read these numbers because they're exact, and I want to be accurate about it. So then we have the Xbox Series X, which is 420 cubic inches, which is about 6,883 centimeters cubed. So that's about a third larger than the One X, approximately. So the PS5 is over 600 cubic inches, 2 times the volume of the Pro, and a third larger than the Series X, with less CPU and less GPU performance. So the Xbox Series X could fit inside a PS5 and have almost 40% empty space, with the centimeters there being 9,832 centimeters cubed. So that is really interesting to think about when you're doing the comparisons of the size. I find that really fascinating. And again, we're trying our best to be accurate here. So again, we're going to go back to the context of mosquitoes biting me, but we're also going to talk about, the size again. So the PS5 we said was 22.3 by 8.89 centimeters by 38.1. Again, length, width, height. So the One X is 30 centimeters by 24 centimeters by 6 centimeters, as the PS4 is 28.8 centimeters by 26.5 by 3.9 centimeters. So that's just kind of giving you an idea of the scaling of this at a good size range, so you can actually make those comparisons. Great, so here's the big one that we want to make a comparison about. Again, at the end, kind of wrapping this up, is we've got Xbox Series X and we've got our PlayStation 5 console, which is going to be very tall. I did the measurements. I might actually have to get a new TV stand in order to fit that in there, because you want extra room so that it doesn't overheat, especially with the variable frequency that it's running at. That is something I personally would worry about. But I think they've done a lot of work on the cooling, and that's what I've been hearing a lot of leaks is the cooling. They've done a lot of work with it, so we'll have to see how that is. So again, here's kind of how it fits into one another, different dimensions and sizes, just so you get an idea of the scaling of it. Here's the interior, and you're seeing how it just kind of fits snugly in there. But it's weird in the sense that the PlayStation 5 went really tall, and again, it's the top of this when it's not folded or anything. There's the measurements. Cardboard, we have our limitations. So this is more of a box for cooling, so the airflow goes up. It's really interesting, actually. Both of them, I imagine, have really interesting dynamics, and I wish we saw more of the interior of the PlayStation 5 design in regards to the cooling and everything that they're doing there, because I think it'll be really neat. But you get the sense of this one where it's something that, even flattened, it's going to take up a lot of space. It's not quite as chunky, but it is very big in scale. So we'll make that comparison. So we'll put this down, because we've done all these. We're going to do the comparison now. We've got the One X, and we've got the PS5 here. And you see how that kind of snugly fits inside there almost. Like, you're seeing that there, and seeing that here. It's very interesting to see that sense of scale and comparison to one another. Trying to get this as flat as possible so it's accurate. It's just hard to hold, if you get what I mean. But you get that sense of it just in regards to the size here. And I hope we're being largely accurate. I mean, I have done all these measurements, and we did cut this to try to be very accurate to what we had information-wise from our various sources. So I thought that was interesting. But you're just seeing that, how it really does kind of expand in size. Like, I get it's a lot more power than the One X, but in comparison to the Series X, it's just weird that, it's a reverse almost of the last generation, where the PS4 was smaller, more powerful, and that made a big difference early on. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects this generation. So now we have the 360, which again, at this point, compared to the consoles we have, is really small. I should have brought the Xbox One out, because that one's pretty big too, but it's not really even like a modern form-fitting console at this point. And these are just what I had on hand, so that's why these consoles are out here. That, just so you know. And I thought they were a good range of comparison. So here's the 360. Again, seeing that quite a bit taller, even with the hard drive on, because you got to remember you could take the hard drive off. I don't know why you needed the hard drive, but you get the point of that. And then if we were to lie it flat, seeing the scale there. So it's going to take up a lot of space, because I even remember the 360 kind of being a bit of a pain at its time for how big it was. I'm really curious how big where the PS3 is in regards to this one, the ratio in that, because that would be an interesting comparison too. If I had more consoles sitting around, it would make sense. But yeah, I hope this has kind of been an interesting showcase, in regards to just how big the PS5 is going to be, and I am curious if we are going to be completely accurate on that when the final version comes out. And I hope you enjoyed this exciting arts and crafts kind of version of what I do, because I thought that was fun and a little bit different, something, you know, unique to kind of show off and put together. It was interesting, good little time. Again, little one, our little Series X, that's kind of really chunky. When we're going to put it down, it's going to be awkward in the sitting area, but yeah, it's weird, the design of it. I don't know, some people like it, I don't really, but we'll have to see how it goes. It's a lot of its games too, what kind of games it's going to play, how we're going to hide the console so we don't have to see them, because they're not really like something you show off, at least in my opinion, but you know, all to your own, right? Yeah, so that's kind of scale. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you maybe learned something or found this somewhat interesting, just to kind of get a real live dimension showcase as opposed to like graphics or images like that. We're back for one more size comparison. I went and I dug out the Xbox One because I thought it was only fair to bring out this monster of a console. Really don't know what they were thinking looking back. It's not really next gen feeling, but yeah, let's one more little comparison thing. So this is how far they've come for Xbox. It's just, that's kind of funny to me. The size difference of it is just absolutely crazy. I really don't know what they were thinking on that one. It's just so much bigger. It also kind of shows where they've gone over the years in regards to the technology and how they've advanced things and changed things over time. It's interesting. So let's make a comparison to our PlayStation 5 here. Okay. Holy, this is like bigger. Huh. That is really fascinating. I thought it would, the Xbox One would be way bigger, but no. See, it's kind of getting on that territory of being like Xbox One size. That's nuts. Actually, I find this fascinating here. There's the baseline up. I'm showing that off here. Huh. It's really kind of that size almost. Like, I mean, it's actually, I think it might be bigger. I know this is a lot longer here, but because of the scale of this part here, with the height, I'm wondering if that's actually more volumetric space, because it's actually got a little bit on the top too. That's really neat. Well, I hope you enjoyed this comparison of the consoles and found it interesting. It was a neat thing to do. I'd like to do more size comparisons. And you know what? Maybe down the road we'll do, hopefully towards the release of the final consoles, we'll do another size comparison, assuming I get my hands on both of them, and see how they're going. So what do you think of the sizes? Are they interesting? I thought so. I thought this was a pretty cool video. Because I put so much work into this one, maybe give it a like if you have a time, a moment. Subscribe if you'd like to. That would be neat. And we'll have more next-gen stats as they are announced and released over time.